Welcome to INSZN's College Football Show. We have our first player diagnosis, a new segment of videos we'll be doing sporadically throughout the rest of the year. Let's get right into it. We're going to talk Arch Manning of the Texas Longhorns today. We're filming this the day after the CFP rankings came out for the first time. Texas obviously at number 11, first team out of the playoffs if it ended today. And obviously, they will have a lot of games, including a big-time Texas A&M game coming up in a few weeks to move in those rankings. But want to get right into it, talk Arch Manning. So, Christian, take it away.
Yeah, so I think one of the highest level takeaways, which it sounds very obvious, when Arch plays well, Texas performs at expectations. When he doesn't play well, the outcome is a little bit up in the air. And I know that sounds very obvious to say, but the reason I'm saying it is because there's such a deviation between what I'm considering Arch playing well and not. If we look at his games, I mean, he's kind of bouncing around. You know, his average performances are around 100 QBR. His best performances are in the, upper 130s, 140s. And his worst performances are pretty bad. For instance, let's take the Florida loss. He had a QBR of 77.5, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, accuracy rating of 65.4%. Just not a good game. But if you look at the Vanderbilt win last weekend, QBR of 136.9, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and an accuracy rating of 81.8%. If you look at accuracy rating, that's kind of where we're seeing a lot of the deviation between how well is Texas going to do in this game versus not. And when I say accuracy rating, what I'm really saying is it doesn't matter if the receiver catches the ball or not. Did Arch throw a pass that should have been caught by the receiver? And was it, not able to be turned over? Was it not able to be intercepted? Was it on target? So accuracy rating is kind of what I'm distilling Arch down to this season and saying good games or not good games, because everything else is, pretty fluctuating. His passing yards have been up and down, a couple games, 170, 114, 132, and a few other games, 309, 346, 328. So there's not a lot of consistency in his game this year. But one thing I do want to look at is his grades. He really does rank in the top 20, 25 percentile of all quarterbacks this year in terms of his medium, deep passing ability, his ability to pass when blitzed. And that's been kind of an issue I've pointed out for Texas this year. So our O-line is not allowing Arch to get a lot of time in the pocket, but he's pretty good when he's actually blitzed. So I'm just looking at this. I think he's had an up and down, a volatile season is how I'd kind of articulate that. But there's no huge high-level takeaways in saying, hey, the reason he's doing so poorly is because of X, Y, Z. It's really just kind of based on, is he accurate in this game? And if so, he has a pretty good game.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I know a lot of Texas fans, if they're watching this, are probably screaming at us to talk about pass blocking, things like that. And that really has been a big issue. I kind of highlighted this when I knew we were going to talk about it, but basically – tale of two seasons for Arch Manning, or basically any game before OU this year, he was holding onto the ball 3.2 seconds. He had the average depth of every attempt he had was 11.9 yards and 57% air yardage percentage. So basically, they were taking a lot more deep shots. He was holding onto the ball longer, and that kind of actually I think has to do with the poorer grade of their pass blocking ability for that Texas Longhorns offensive line since OU, or I guess including OU, but OU on since that Florida loss. His average time to throw is right at 2.6 seconds. I know we kind of have pulled up his comparison from last year, much closer to what he was last year. When he really kind of showed out against Mississippi State and other teams. Average depth of target is now only 7.6. So there's much more emphasis on getting the ball quickly, getting the ball out quickly, getting it to your playmakers and getting it in their hands. And we saw that early on in the Vanderbilt game, just as examples, getting the ball wide receiver screen to Ryan Wingo, and he houses it for 75 yards. So I think that's another thing is Arch early on to me looked like I know there are all the questions of, is he hurt or anything like that? To me, it just looked like he was trying too hard. He was trying to put the team on his shoulders rather than just do what he does really well, which is make good decisions and then get the ball out early, get the ball to your playmakers, because you have all these playmakers on the outside and at running back.
Yeah, I think there's two things I also want to take away from that, because I agree with all that. I think his time to throw has been kind of an emphasis this season in terms of kind of the differences in his abilities. You can chalk that up to the O-line. He's had less time to make those throws, so therefore he's kind of having to be a little bit more mobile in the pocket before getting that second and third look. And I don't want to discount, what he's doing this season, because the games he played in last season for the most part were either, when the game was already decided, or, whatever other circumstances with viewers being out. But they weren't, the exact same scenario of games, exact same, position and where the games were. But there's two things I do want to point out. His turnover-worthy play between last year and this year, the right side of this screen is 2024. The left side is 2025 this season. He was 1.9% of all of his plays last year were turnover-worthy plays. This year it's 3.7. So he's almost doubled the amount of decisions he's made that have led to either turnovers or should have been turnovers. And his big-time play has gone down significantly. Last year it was 6.4%, so 6.4% of all of his plays resulted in a yardage gain of 20-plus more yards. This year it's only 4.6. Another thing I want to take a look at, and I think this is actually kind of important to look at, is from a more holistic standpoint, when we're looking at decisiveness, which is how long he spends in the pocket before making the pass, playmaking ability, which is 20-plus yard plays, accuracy, throwing IQ, not plays that result in turnovers, and then pocket presence, which is his ability to scramble in and out of the pocket when pressured. Last year, it was kind of, he was higher on the percentiles for just about everything except for pocket presence. And what that tells me is that the O-line is different this year, is that he is having to scramble at a significantly higher rate, but he's doing so effectively. So I think that should be an emphasis on Arch's performance this year, not all being related to him and his, accuracy or his, time to throw or his turnover-worthy plays. I think the pocket collapses at a higher rate this year. And I think that any Texas fan could say that. We're kind of stating the obvious here, but it's interesting when you see the analytics that back up that claim.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why after that Florida loss, there seems to have been an emphasis on getting the ball out earlier, calling more screens, wide receiver screens, RPOs and things like that, to just get the ball out of Arch's hands and into your playmakers on the outside, let them make a move. So Arch obviously has, or Texas really, but Arch specifically has a big test coming up. They're on a bye this weekend, but November 15th, they play Georgia, then they go to Arkansas, and then that Black Friday game against A&M, which I know the whole nation will be watching. So right now they're number 11 in the college football playoff rankings. Those last three games will move a lot of those rankings around. So I'm excited to see if he's able to continue kind of the uptrend we've seen over the past few weeks and lead the Longhorns into the college football playoff. So they're going back to back. But interested to hear our viewers' comments. So please comment, like, subscribe, follow us on X and Instagram, and then check out INSZN.co so that you can look at all of this yourself. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
Thanks.